Okay. I'd like to, whereas it is essential for the protection of this community that command discipline be imposed from time to time for acts and omissions of members of the West Hampton Beach Village Police Department, and whereas it is essential that command discipline be imposed in a manner commensurate with such acts or omissions, and it is important that such discipline be uniformly applied to all members of the police department, and whereas recent events have mandated that the proper administration of command discipline be reviewed, and where it is essential that the Board of Trustees must remain fully apprised of such facts and circumstances which indicate whether the police department is operating properly, and whereas it is the duty of the Board of Trustees to consider improvements to the operation of the police department and receive such recommendations concerning the optimal functioning of the police department, and whereas in accordance subsection 1 of section 8-804 and section 4-412 of the New York State Village Law, the Board of Trustees serves as a Board of Police Commissioners. Therefore, be it resolved that the Chief of Police for the West Hampton Beach Village Police Department is directed to provide to the village clerk no later than March 24th, 2010, a copy of every report, record, memorandum, writing, or note authored by him or any subordinate in the police department which evidences the imposition of command discipline on any member of the police department of the Village of West Hampton Beach for the period beginning on January 1st, 2010 through March 4th, 2010. And be it further resolved that such writings will be filed with the village clerk together with a copy of this resolution bearing the Chief of Police's original signature as provided at the bottom hereof, indicating that he has made diligent search of the records of the Village of West Hampton Beach Police Department, and indicating that the attached records, if any, constitute all the records responsive to this directive. And be it further resolved in order that both the Chief of Police and the Mayor hereby prohibited from imposing command discipline upon the members of the police department for any act or omission, but are instead directed to prefer in writing such charges as warranted, serving a copy of the charges upon the offending officer and immediately filing a copy of such charges with the village clerk. And be it further resolved that the village clerk shall immediately inform each and every member of the Board of Trustees by contemporaneous email that charges against the member of the police department have been preferred and have been filed. And be it further resolved that the Chief of Police shall cause a copy of this resolution to be provided to each member of the police department. And be it further resolved that the Mayor is directed to serve a copy of this resolution upon the Chief of Police no later than 3 days after said resolution has been adopted by the Board of Trustees, and the Mayor shall cause the Chief of Police to acknowledge his receipt of a copy of the resolution by signing such acknowledgement at the bottom hereof. And be it further resolved that the Mayor is directed to immediately file with the village clerk the acknowledgement so executed by the Chief of Police. And be it further resolved that the village clerk shall immediately inform each and every member of the Board of Trustees by contemporaneous email that such acknowledgement has been filed. And be it further resolved that the village clerk shall immediately, upon receipt from the Chief of Police of records provided by the Chief of Police in response to this resolution, shall immediately inform each and every member of the Board of Trustees by contemporaneous email that the records have been filed by the Chief of Police. And be it further resolved that the Chief of Police is hereby advised that if he, as well as any subordinate officer, desires to speak with counsel prior to producing such records or making such filings, then the Chief of Police shall immediately report such fact in writing to the village clerk with the identity of the individual requesting time for the advice of counsel, and the village clerk shall, upon receipt, immediately advise each and every member of the Board of Trustees by contemporaneous email, and the Board of Trustees will thereafter make reasonable accommodation for such person to receive the advice of counsel prior to the act of production of said records. And be it further resolved that all records produced and all filings made pursuant to this resolution shall be held as privileged material in accordance with the New York Civil Rights Law 50A1 pending the assessment of such records and filings by the Board of Trustees concerning the extent to which such records are to be disclosed as a public record.
Second.
I would like to say in regards to this resolution that it is a violation of the New York State Taylor Law. It is part of the PBA's rights as a union, and you cannot unilaterally take it away, suspend it, or do anything else without permission of the PBA or a memorandum with the PBA. Number two, it does not confer nor do those two sections of law you quote direct you as police commissioners that I can find. This is a voluntarily matter between the police officers and the chief of police, and it is only can be handled if the officer volunteers. It is a way to handle minor disciplinary charges to the board. They would have to be handled as a full-blown Article 75s under the civil service law or any other violation. Command discipline is a totally different way to handle minor disciplinary problems, is voluntarily and limits the punishment, and after 6 months the records are usually destroyed.
I want to make a motion to strike the rest of these off this agenda in the rest of the meeting.
Based on what?
Based on the
Based
fact
on,
you
based
canceled.
on the input from my attorney that we're getting into, we're coming into ground that we shouldn't be coming into.
Actually, this.
And Hank, let me finish, hang on one second. I asked you yesterday, I talked to Bo, and I asked you, who is the attorney that wrote this stuff up? And you can't give me that. And I think the people, we all represent the people that are sitting and looking at us, and I think they would want to know the information you bring up, what lawyer is giving you guys this information?
Well, just the same way that our mayor was attorney and he wrote some of the resolutions, and the same way he referred to Vincent Toomey, who was legal counsel in this village at one point, but he got let go by the village for problems.
Okay, so, but at least the mayor.
Excuse me, for problems that occurred in a case that's very, very similar to this, and the notice of claims we got today are eerily similar to what had occurred back then in that trial, and in those hearings, excuse me. And in those hearings, you know, part of the problem is it cost this village hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it took a really long time. And this board, in my opinion, I'll speak for myself right now, I think it's our duty to inquire about information and things that are happening at the police department. It's our duty to know prior to us just saying, no problem, let's just go out and hold hearings and let's spend the taxpayers' money and
Is it your duty to violate the Taylor law? The
Well,
PBA?
that- you're
Or
throwing-
do
you're throwing-
you have an affidavit memorandum of agreement?
and whose legal opinion is that? Is that yours?
It's a
Taylor law.
I know what the Taylor law says.
I already know that.
Yeah. Well, you've been citing a lot of laws to us, some that you wrote. You got information, excuse me. You got information from Vincent Toomey. He was an attorney for the village that was let go, and you want us
That was
to
not
go.
Tommy Joe's question.
You want-
He named his name.
Excuse me.
Who wrote
Please,
for you?
please.
You would like us to.
Vincent Toomey
Vince Toomey wrote some of it. I
Vincent
mean-
Toomey was let go because a new board took over.
There was, I respectfully have to tell you, Mr. Mayor, that there
Just
were.
for the record,
We
Vincent
don't-
Toomey is a
It's
very
on the record.
capable
I
and
know
very
the record.
honorable attorney
I
who
was
has a
there.
great deal of expertise in labor law, and I don't believe that he should be slandered, or
By this
I
group.
withdraw that
It's not-
statement, not slandered, that he should be besmirched the way he has been. In addition, Mr. Zuckerman, Richard Zuckerman, is a nationally renowned labor law expert who has volumes, does treatises on labor law disciplinary matters. And he is probably one of the best, if not in this, not only in the state, but in the northeast of the United States. So
That's
that's,
good to know, because that's who wrote our original resolution in
and he didn't
December.
have the right information when he gave you the
Oh,
opinion.
so
Yeah,
he
so as a
said-
Well, then read,
So-
did you read the second opinion? Did you
So-
read the second one?
So, well, you know what, we could discuss that in an executive session if you'd like.